Well, I hate to begin on a sour note, but a neighbor of mine's baby swallowed a 22 caliber bullet. And so she took him to the doctor, and the doctor found out what was wrong. The 22 caliber bullet had been swallowed by this young baby, about 4 months old. Mother was nervous and excited. She asked the doctor, said, Doc, what can you do? Doc said, well, only one thing we can do is give him about half a bottle of this castor oil here and make sure you don't aim him at nobody. That's good. This is a good laugher here tonight. Well, since we're on that type of subject, we go down the country in the mountains, you know, where the mountaineers are almost back out of complete civilization altogether. I don't know, man, drink this stuff. I have a frog in my throat. First piece of meat I had in there all week. But it seems as though this family was in the mountains in Kentucky. They were sitting around the table fixing to eat. And, you know, down in Kentucky, in a place like that, it's just sit the food on the table and the family sits around. Nobody passes anything. You just reach for what you want. And they had the food on the table and they got said their prayers and the family got ready to eat. One young son, he once saw a slice of bread he wanted on the other end of the table. He got up and leaned over and reached for the slice of bread and his father said, Mom, say, how old is that boy Zeke there? Mom said, I guess he's now around 20. Paul said, 20? Said, we better put some pants on that boy. Did you see what he just drugged through that suit? Let's get something straightened out before we go any further. If you go, don't laugh soft. You know, no, I go to sir. You say, see? Yeah, just be free. Just, see, see, the only reason I told this story is because the album is going to be called Have One on Me. That's what it's called, Have One on Me. And I just was thinking, you know, if this story I just told had been a cartoon, the caption could read, he had one on him. Or something. And this is a true story happened over on Central. A fellow went over on Central, a pawn shop, fellow I know, Lucky. He went to his pawn shop and he used to always borrow money from Lucky, and he borrowed $50 from him. Came in about 3 weeks later, and Lucky said, how about my $50? This guy said, I don't have no money. I had a bad streak. I just didn't make nothing. So, you know, I'm booking horses and gambling. I said, yes, I'm in a bad streak. I haven't won nothing, don't have nothing, and I can't pay you. Lucky said, well, I got your note here for $50. This guy took the pistol out of his pocket and said, well, give me that note. And he took the note, he said, now here, eat it. And Lucky ate the note for $50. And 3 weeks later, the guy came back and he gave Lucky the $50 because he didn't need the note. He was a nice guy. So Lucky said, I'm so glad you brought the money. I knew you were going to pay me. He said, anytime you want some money, just come to me. A couple more weeks passed, the guy came back and he said, look, Lucky, I want to borrow another $50 from you. He said, get a piece of paper out there and write a note. Lucky said, no, don't write on no note this time. You can get the $50, but just write it on this vanilla wafer. Hey, I hate to say this because a lot of ladies here, but it seems though some women are never happy. It's true. No kidding, it was a night watchman talking to his buddy who was a night watchman. He said, where'd you get that black eye? He said, I got it from my wife. He said, she raised a whole lot of sand and got mad because I stayed out till all hours of the afternoon. Too clean? Well, back to the gutter. Won't take long to get there. That was good, dear. Thank you so much. Yeah, I see what you meant. You been sick, dear? No, really. That fellow, you know, over here on the exposition where the train comes through, fellow wrote, he lives in a house, and when the train comes through, everything is house shaped, but his wife. And he wrote the train people, whatever what you call them, railroads executives, a long letter, not exactly long, but to the point. It said, gentlemen, why is it that your damn switch engine has to ding and dong and fizz and spit and bang and hiss and pant and grate and grind and puff and bump and chug and hoot and toot Whistle and wheeze and jar and jerk and howl and snarl and puff and growl and thump and boom and clash and jolt and screech and snort and snarl and slam and throb and roar and rattle and yell and smoke and smell and shriek like hell all night. Here's a couple of short poems written by my uncle. Pardon me. Man, while he cooked tonight. No kidding, there's a woman. I think I told her, I said, Herbert, you're not cooking right. I can eat a lot of stuff, but I'm not going to eat any more of that burnt jello. Here's the point. There was a young lady named Ransom who was loved 3 times in a hansom. But when she asked for more, came a weak voice from the floor, said, my name is Simpson, not Samson. Once there was a queer named Broom. I hate to talk about this. Who invited a girl to his room. They argued all night as to who had the right to do what with which to whom. Well, we get to some old times. Think I'll have a cigarette. If you'll just pause, you can light one yourself. What's your brand, Viceroy? You think everyone should smoke Viceroy? Well, not exactly. I think a fellow should be able to smoke what he wants to. Says, you know, there's a couple went down here on what is it, Santa Barbara, Figueroa. Where's the circus? That's where it is, isn't it? I haven't been there yet, but it's a true story. I swear it is. But this couple, you know, they went to Ringling Brothers Circus. And the girl, they went on all the rides, you know, shoot the shooting, around the thing, saw the elephants and everything. This girl said, ooh, this is wonderful, but I like to be weighed. And so he took her over to the weight guesser. The guy said, let me see here, let me feel this, let me grab. He said 107. He was absolutely right. Then they rode on the whip, and that popped a few times. She said, I want to be weighed. So he took her back, and he got the same answer. He thought to himself, he said, this babe must be crazy or something. Every time I look up, she wants to be weighed. So he took on another ride, and then he got disgusted with it after she wanted to get weighed again, so he took her on home. Her mother said, daughter, what you doing home so early? Didn't you have a good time? She said, oh, mother, it was all right, but I didn't have too much fun. Actually, it was lousy. Well, I'm glad it got through to you. Here's the hobo news. Give me while I'm looking. There's hobo in New York. I guess you call him a bum. I hate to say bum. Thank you, darling. Better late than never. But his hobo, he was cruising and cooling down through the Bowery in a brand new 1960 Cadillac. And he figured this was it for him. He was behind the wheel. He pulled over to the curb where some of his old buddies were. He said, how'd you get that Cadillac? He said, well, I was down the street here about 4 blocks, and I met a beautiful girl. She pulled up in this car. She said, you want to ride? I said, yeah, and got in. We rode way out in the country. She stopped the car, and we both got out. She said, kiss me. So I kissed her. She was a real beautiful doll, too. Then she started to take off her clothes. She stood there in all her feminine beauty with nothing on but a pair of panties. She said, here I am. And she held her arms out. She said, take what you want. This bum said, hell, I knew I couldn't wear them drawers, so I took the car. And the fellow was standing out, got arrested here last Saturday. Out here in the outskirts of town, near Watts. He was out in the backyard. Yeah, outskirts. He was out in the backyard with just his pajama tops on. And His neighbor asked him, said, what are you doing out in the yard with your pajama tops on? He said, well, last week I went out to the drugstore and I didn't have no scarf on, so I got a stiff neck. And this is my wife's idea. This is a good story. There was a friend of mine got a job downtown in one of these big department stores. His first day on his job, his elevator, he was on the 16th floor. And he came down so fast, not knowing how to stop the car real fast. He went all the way down the first floor. He stopped. He said, pardon me. He looked at the old lady in the back. He said, pardon me, ma'am. He said, I'm sorry I stopped so fast. He said, did I alarm you? She said, no, no, you didn't frighten me at all. I always wear my drawers down in my shoes. No, no applause, please. Just keep drinking. It's a good feeling. What's your name? No, you look like Eisenhower when he had a little more weight on. No kidding. I fought on Eisenhower. Well, here we go. Here's a woman trap. All of them had one somewhere. That trap. She got out the bed and put on her robe. And she put up the shades, uncovered the parrot, went to the kitchen, lit the gas, put on the coffee, and the phone rang. Hey, baby. I just got in from Minneapolis. She said, you did? He said, get ready. I'll be right on over because you know how long it's been since I've seen you. So she took off the coffee, turned off the gas, went into the bedroom, pulled down the shade, covered the parrot, took off the robe, got in the bed, and the parrot said, damn, that was a short day. But here's a true story from the Congo. Now I might as well get to the facts. Seems though this big African tribesman had a missionary living right in his village. And one day, Chief discovered a white baby in the village. So he went to this missionary. He said, sir, we discovered a white baby. You only white man for 22,000 miles. How? So this missionary, he didn't know how to quite put it. And he was surprised that the chief would come to him. And he was fidgeting around. He said, what can I say? Let me explain this to you. He said, now come here to the window. He said, look out the window. See that herd of sheep? He said, now see that one black sheep over there? He said, now I can't explain how albinos come. He said, but all those sheep are white. There's one black one. So the chief said, okay, you don't tell on me, I don't tell on you. Thank you.